What's going on, you city folk? This is the Illinois kid here, coming at you with my very first YouTube video ever. This is actually my draft analysis for the International Battling League Season 2. So hello, my name is the Illinois kid. I am primarily a draft content creator or aspiring to be one. Maybe one of these days I'll branch out to doing Let's Plays and stuff like that, but mainly I wanted to try to upload draft content on this channel. In this particular league, I've actually had a couple of people reach out to me asking me to maybe start uploading, putting my thoughts on the internet and seeing what people think of it, basically. Hopefully it's something that's enjoyable, and hopefully I can continue to do it for a while. So let's go ahead and start with what's in front of us here. International Battling League, we played a Season 1. I went 9-1 of the regular season, and I went on to win the whole thing. And because of that, I got to franchise a Mon on my team from my initial season. So what franchising means is I got to actually call dibs on the Mon before the draft, anything like that, and I got to have it on my next team as kind of a prize for winning. It would take up the last tier of the respected, what I franchised out of, respectively, and I decided to go with Zygarde 50. I had a lot of cool threats in my last team, things like Weavile and Manaphy also were on my mind, but I decided that I was going to go with Zygarde because I was going to try to draft a bit of a nice kind of Zygarde Coco core, being my first pick, as a matter of fact. This is my favorite Mon in draft ever, and I definitely wanted to try to get it. I really liked how we allowed certain Mons that most leagues don't usually allow, like Magearna and Tapu Lele, maybe more so Magearna. So I could actually grab this Mon to kind of take attention off of it, as I was also the third pick in OU. So I was pretty much guaranteed this Mon with those Mons being allowed, and I don't know why every time I open this, his attack IVs are 0. That bothers me. But anyway, this is Tapu Koko. This thing can do pretty much everything offensively, and I'm not going to talk too extensively about what it can do, rather what it will do with the team. So I really like Volt Turn, pretty much. I like how this thing gets Volt Turn and U-Turn. Kind of put it in above other fast electric types because it doesn't get stopped by ground types. I like the taunt on it to stop setups, so Zygarde can proceed to setup. And I also like Speed Control and Thunder Wave, and I like 3 attacks Toxic a lot. I'll be talking about that with a couple different Mons. That Mon I can't necessarily touch on the team. It's really nice to be able to Toxic that Mon. So it is basically no longer switching because it's taking whatever move I throw at it plus the Toxic damage. So pretty cool there. Megalop is the next Mon I decided to go. I know I'm Numb Nexus because I picked 4 of his Mons for his last UCL season, and this is kind of a UCL style, so haha, whatever. But I really like this thing's Fake Out more than anything because I failed to get decent rocks and spikes on this team. I do have a really nice Spike Spitter and Klefki, and my 2 rockers are Piloswine and Necrozma. So I really wanted to try to get something that was good at chipping things away, so I didn't necessarily have to have those Mons take that kind of damage, so like Fake Out and Return and things like that, to put Mons in range of Dragon Dance, 1,000 Arrows, and Outrages. That was kind of the idea behind this pick, as well as it just being a really offensive fighting type for the steel types that Coco might have a hard time dealing with. So that's why I really like this Mon on this team. Coming up next, I have Zygarde 50. This is the Mon that I was kind of trying to base my 2 picks around originally, because I know this is my guaranteed one. I know this thing is an amazing choice user, if that makes sense. So the band and the scarf, I think this thing really shines with sets like those. Obviously, its best set, though, is going to be its Dragon Dance set. Being able to take most hits with its really respectable defensive stats and being able to just Dragon Dance up and sweep through teams is going to be very, very viable. That's something I use a lot. I really like the access to extreme speed, giving my team even more priority, along with Lop's Fake Outs and even quick attacks. I'll run that a couple times. And then Glare's just broken. Glare is dumb. And I can also, if I don't necessarily want to be a setup variant, I can stop setup with Haze on other Mons, because this is going to be a generally bulky Mon, so I can see myself running it as a switch into some things on some weeks. Like last season, this was actually my switch into a Mega Beedrill, and it actually worked out pretty well for me. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. And we are getting into my Z Captain now. So my Z user was Tapu Koko, was my first one. And then my second one was going to be Necrozma. This is my Z Captain. So Z users can just use offensive moves, like how Coco can run Thunderbolt, and how Necrozma can do like Z Photon Geyser. This thing can actually use those non-attacking moves as well as attacking moves. Other than Omni Boosting, of course, although I don't think this thing even gets any Omni Boosting Z moves. I know it's kind of weird to have this as your Z Captain. Well, 1, it's my second favorite Mon. And for 2, I really just drafted this for Z Tailwind as well as Z Mist. Z Mist is going to fully restore myself, and Z Tailwind is going to set up the Tailwind and give myself a higher crit ratio. So along with Calm Mind, I can actually put in a lot of work versus teams. I was actually swept by one of these, and it did not feel good because he's getting crits every time. I thought it was just guaranteed crits, but now it's just a lot higher of a chance. Not to mention, this thing can be offensive as well as its amazing defensive sets with the base 115 in both. I can actually see myself putting in a lot of work with this mod other than just the standard physically defensive threat. So Gengar's up next. Gengar was not originally going to be on this team. This was supposed to be Nihilego, and I was supposed to get Tornadus as my last pick for my bird spam, and I was going to try to get Registeel and RU. But Nihilego got sniped from me just like that because Madness thought he needed 2 poison types. Rip me. So now I get to end up playing with this Gengar, and it ain't too big of a problem, honestly. Gengar is still a major threat in itself. I think this is probably my best choice user on the team between Specs and Scarf. It's probably going to be the best one for both of those options, as well as its supreme coverage. It's going to really help put things in range for Zygarde and Lopunny and Koko and things like that, or it's going to clean up as those things put it in range for Gengar, depending on matchup, depending on what I find to be stronger. And yeah, I think this mod is just going to be amazing. I actually kind of like that it doesn't have Levitate. I know that's weird to say. I actually kind of like it because I like being able to absorb toxic spikes. So Klefki's up next. This was, like I said, supposed to be Tornadus. I was really having a hard time finding what my steel type was going to be on the team. I obviously wanted a more defensive one than necessarily this, because these defenses are not all that great. But, we make do what we have to. And I really enjoy that this thing actually is a spike setter. It's a steel type that can set up hazards. It is a flying resist nonetheless. I can thunder wave those fast threats. I can set up spikes. I can get priority defogs off, which my team might struggle a little bit with the hazard removal, like the hazard stacking. And just being able to remove all of those first before anything happens is going to be really nice. As well as getting kind of initiative into it. So it can set up its spikes, it can put up its screens, it can do its thing, is going to be awesome. And I already can do that so well with Koko and Lopunny, and I'm only going to add to that as the draft progresses. So going into RU, this was not obviously, but the word I was looking for was definitely the scariest draft position by far. RU was the thing I did not think I was going to make it out with all the 3 mods I wanted, and I actually ended up doing it. I was so terrified I wouldn't. I honestly thought being in the 6th position that Necrozma was going to get sniped before I could get it. But it wasn't. Necrozma is just a beastly mod, especially for RU. Just its supreme coverage with the fact that I have access to all the Z attacking moves that I need. The fact that it has, I guess Moonlight and Morning Sun are kind of the same thing. But the fact that it has that reliable recovery, the fact that I can set up offensive rocks with this thing as well as be kind of defensive for some weeks. I can Thunderwave things. I can Toxic things. It's just going to open the door for Lopunny, Koko, Zygarde, all those top 3 OU threats that I have to just be able to do whatever they want, especially in kind of the face of a more defensive poison type that Lopunny might have a hard time breaking through and Koko might have a hard time breaking through. This thing has no problem with laughing at those types and being able to destroy them. And for the Drapions and the Alola Mucks out there, I still have Earth Power as well as Earthquake. So that's looking pretty good. I really like Necrozma. I like it for its setup capabilities because I like Rock Polish, I like Autotomize. Obviously, that's what I'd rather be doing with this kind of set, but I can see myself using it as more of an offensive rocker as the weeks go on, and I don't really see a problem with that. So next up is Swellow. Speed tiers get kind of wonky here, but it's all right because this thing is still beastly. I really didn't think I was going to get it either, but I ended up doing it. This thing has 2 very polar opposite sets that can work very well for any given week between Specs Boom Burst and just Guts offensive with U-turn and stuff, and it can Guts Brave Bird things. So teams that don't have great flying resist are going to get bodied by this thing. And for teams that do have really defensive steel types, at least physically defensive, I can run Specs Heat Wave. So I'm feeling really good about this set. I think it's going to really help out because it's more initiative for things like Lop, things like Koko, things like Zygarde, things like Gengar. And it actually likes getting initiative too, so it can come in and click it's just whatever threat I decide to plug in and whatever initiative I decide to plug in, I can just do that with this team, which is what I find phenomenal about the team that I've drafted here. And next up I have Serena. So Serena is the dedicated ground resist to the team. I actually don't have another one other than Serena, so that's kind of scary. But very rarely have I seen a ground type be able to 1v1 a Serena. 9 times out of 10, I'm pretty okay with that. So as it is a major flaw on the team, at least I have this to kind of patch it. It's more Volt Turn, as well as a Rapid Spinner, which I was lacking on the team. And I had this is actually another seasoned vet with Zygarde. This is the second mon I actually brought over from my Season 1 team. And I hate that it didn't get Leech Seed in some weeks. Like, it really made me mad. But other than that, I really like its Supreme coverage, and I really like Drop Kick as a move. And I think it's going to, like I said, put those more ground-type mons in range, or even steel types with high jump kick. Put those mons in range of Coco, and just let him go to work. So we have Incineroar now as my starting. I got the first round in NU, so I claimed this mon. I had to pick 6 in RU, pick 12, 9 in UU, and 3rd in OU, which I was able to get Coco. But I had the first pick in NU, and I was like Incineroar all the way. I wanted that strong dark type. I knew that I could set this in the back. I didn't have to worry about trying to scramble for one of the dark types up front, because I could just wait on this thing, because I knew I was guaranteed one mon, and this is the mon I decided on. It's even more Volt Turn. We have even more Volt Turn with this mon, as well as another Fake Out user, and just a really strong dark type to help me combat bulky psychics, because this team is going to struggle against those, as I don't really have anything to necessarily nuke them other than my Gengar, and Gengar actually takes super effective damage to psychic types, so it's hard for it to switch in. So being able to switch this thing in on psychics, on bulky psychics, and being able to fire off Darkest Lariats, if they're like Z, if I predict them to be Z captains, 9 times out of 10 I'll probably run a knockoff though. Just banded moves like that. Or slap on an Assault Vest with his base 90 SpDef and base 115 attack. It's just looking really nice with this mon. I really did get a lot of value out of it in the NU tier. And as for my last 2 picks, I knew I wanted another ground type, because I really like being able to run 2 ground types, having the ability to switch between the 2. Double ground is something I really enjoy, because when you just have that one ground type, especially when you drafted a quad weak ground type, Zygarde, it's really easy for fast electrics to just volt switch all over my team with the electric terrain up, and all they have to do is run Hidden Power Ice to quad hit my Zygarde, and depending on the mon, knock it out. So I decided that I wanted to try to play a little bit of mind games in that regard and pick up Piloswine. I did not have an Ice type on the team yet. This adds more priority. And it's a nice Eviolite user. I understand base 60 doesn't look all that great at the moment, but invested with an Eviolite, I can actually 1v1 pretty much almost every electric type that's not carrying Hidden Power Fighting. If they're carrying Hidden Power Fighting, they don't have any ice coverage for Zygarde. So really great there. This thing's going to pretty much always be Rocks whenever I bring it. I do see myself doing a couple of cool sets in some matchups in the future. I have looked at some of the teams, and I can see myself doing some sort of cool sets. More on that later. But this is Piloswine. This is the mon. This is what I really wanted to do, is to kind of help couple with Zygarde, and it's the team's Ice type, which I think Ice types are... I used to think they were overrated, and now I think they're rated just fine. They're very, very great in the format. So many key weaknesses to Ice in the upper tiers, and being able to hit those with priority Ice moves, of course, with my slow speed, is going to be really, really beneficial. Thick Fat's also a really nice ability, which is probably going to be the ability 9 times out of 10, unless I don't want to get taunted to get my Rocks up. So this mon was actually supposed to be Armaldo for the longest time, because I didn't really want to do anything other than Armaldo, although I didn't really like Armaldo on this team because it was just more Scald Weak. And I just really don't think Armaldo's that great of a mon. I really wanted it for the Stealth Rock and Rapid Spin, though. But I decided to go with Ditto for this spot. I kind of forgot about it till we got to NU, honestly, and I feel like I probably just got the most value out of my last NU pick than any other team in just this mon. I'm able to stop setup entirely with this mon. I can, if I'm scared of like Butter Machines, Charizard X, Dragon Dancing on me, another coach in the format, he drafted Charizard X. If I can just switch this thing in as Scarfed Charizard X with all those boosts, I no longer have to worry about that Charizard. And every time I come in, something on his team gets nuked, and I can beat the mon itself because I'm faster. I just find that totally amazing about this Ditto, and especially out of a last round pick. People have to worry about setup sweep now because I got this as my last round pick. That's just incredible amounts of value. And I feel like I did a very, very nice job in that regard. So that's the team. Overall kind of weaknesses of the team, as I've already said, I don't necessarily like my hazard situation. I feel like that I could have done a little bit better about hazard removal and hazard stacking. I have spike spam, probably one of the better spikes users in the league, but that's like about it. And then I have to say, oh, Tapu Koko's a defogger. Haha, maybe I could run that some weeks when you obviously don't want to be running default Koko. So that's kind of an issue there, but I honestly hate this style of drafting. I would much rather do a point system or a tier system other than the 3 OUs, 3 UUs, whatever. But we'll make do with what we have. I am here to defend my title, and I feel like with this particular team, I have explosive offense that people are very worried about, as well as a decent enough defensive backbone to be able to sustain myself in most matchups. And I can say that for a lot of my opponents. I will be uploading, I'm either going to do a team builder or just do one video of both. For my week 1 opponent being Ye Wen, that's going to be actually a rematch of the finals, as he was my finals opponent that I beat out for the win. So he's out for vengeance. He's going to try to get me back with his new draft, and that should be pretty exciting. But other than that, that's about all I have to say about this draft. Expect more draft content from me in the future. This is the Illinois kid. I almost said my name wrong. This is the Illinois kid, but I got to get back to the traptor. I hear Papa calling, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.